All right, so in this YouTube video, I am taking some of our frequently asked questions and I want to talk about some of the considerations for you if you're a coach and you're thinking about licensing your course to other coaches. This is one of those things that's a little bit of a gray area, but here's the deal. When you master this strategy, licensing to other coaches and consultants is one of the things I call licensing quick sell. It's one of the fastest ways where we can scale your reach without maybe going into the level of licensing to big corporations or government or universities. This is one of the ways that I started out licensing. And it's one of the fastest ways for you to experience the power of licensing. And I love this for you. I'm guessing you're a subject matter expert, you're a coach or a consultant. So that's why you're watching me here on YouTube. Thank you so much. All of these videos are directly for you. If you haven't yet, please like this video, subscribe to this YouTube channel. I would really appreciate that. It shows me that the content that I'm sharing here is helpful to you. And that's all I can do is create content that I hope is helpful and usable. So thank you so much. So you're a coach or a consultant or a subject matter expert, and you have created this genius that you have sold directly out of your business in whatever capacity, however you structured that offer for probably a while now. And you're thinking about licensing it or giving other coaches or consultants permission to actually distribute your content within their programs or to their employees or actually to their clients. And so there are some serious considerations that I want to talk about in this video to have you really think through this before you do it. So the first one is ask yourself, am I still going to sell this content myself? If you are still planning on releasing your content directly through your business, so you have a B2C side of your business, you're still selling direct to consumers, even if those consumers are other businesses, still B2C, or you have a separate B2B side where we're actually selling it to other businesses for the purpose of redistribution, right? So frankly, most of our clients, we have both. They're still selling quite a bit of their content B2C, and we're moving them. Licensing is a really cool way to bridge them over to that B2B side and scaling really fast. But they might still be releasing directly some of that content. And so first I want you to ask yourself, am I still going to be selling this as is directly to people individually through my business? And the reason why this consideration is important is because what other coaches you release it to, what their specialty is, really matters. So if you are still, ethically speaking, if you are still selling it yourself directly, if you were then to go and turn around to license it to a coach that's exactly like you are, that reaches the exact same audience, and you were to actually release it, what does that look like for that licensee? I love to often when we're talking about this, lead with what is best for our clients, right? When we create products that are really great for our clients, we always win too. So this is one of those conversations I want you to have with yourself. If you are still selling it directly, how is that a really great deal for a coach that may be competing with you to sell the exact same thing? Because everybody's just going to want to buy it from you directly because it's like from the horse's mouth. It can't get any better than that. Everybody just wants you. It's just the way it is in the coaching and consulting space. Nobody is better than you are at being you, right? With your own IP. So if you're still selling it directly, I want you to think about, is it really a best case scenario to sell it to a direct competitor coach? Or should I sell it to another coach that might not be in direct competition with me, but we still serve the same audience? Those are some of the things I want you to be understanding. And honestly, the beginning of that decision, that consideration is whether or not you're still selling it yourself and for how long. Now, I have tons of other trainings. If you haven't tapped into them, I will put links in the resources here for you about how to turn your competition into your clients by licensing them their material. And we really dive into kind of some of the nitty gritty about that and the considerations and how to do that. This is skimming the surface here about just high level considerations that I want you to think about. It really starts with you. Everything with any business design, if you have followed me for any period of time, My number one is always your business design first, your life, your impact, your purpose, how it's going to affect the way you want to live your life moving forward. Licensing is the exact same. We need to take those considerations into the same importance, right? So yes, we're creating a product that's great for your clients, which are now your new licensees, but also it has to work with you. So figure out, how long do I want to sell this for? Am I still going to be actually selling this? What does this look like? Am I creating competitors, or am I creating new clients out of competition? So answer that question for yourself. That's consideration number one, is to really think about, in what capacity may I still be releasing this content? If you're done, like I was, when I first started really releasing my trainings, I had already made the decision that I wasn't going to market them or sell them directly anymore. I was totally ready to move into that next level of my business. I was done over with teaching those particular trainings. And so it was a no-brainer for me. But honestly, most of our clients that we're currently working with at the time of recording, the popular trend is still having a B2C and a B2B side of your business. And it's important to map those different sides of your business and to see them clearly. That's the first consideration. The second consideration is, what sort of marketing rules will you have when it comes to other coaches distributing your content? So I want you to think about it. And I get a lot of questions about this. This is kind of one of those things that I know is already subconsciously going around in your mind. Like, how do I control it? This is my baby. This is, my training or my framework or my course or my method. This is what I created. How do I actually make sure that it's great in the way that it's being distributed? So with licensing, you don't have as much control as you do with a franchise. Okay. With franchising, the legal structures of a franchise, like, you can literally say, you have to run this marketing campaign on Black Friday. Like, think of like Subway sandwiches, right? Everybody runs the same campaign because it's a franchise. With licensing, you don't have that level of control. And frankly, you don't even want that level of control, because that's why you're getting into licensing in the first place. It's the ultimate scale without having to do all the work, right? So there are things that you can control, though, for your brand integrity. So think about how you want your programs to be marketed, some of the guidelines, some of the ways in which you want other companies to communicate about your content. And give yourself permission to really think through, what is important to me, what would be important for companies to mention about my training or content, what do I not want them to say in association with it. So if there is any sort of specific strategy or language or something that is like a pet peeve, maybe it's been like your number one angst with your industry, and maybe you created your training or your program to prove that sort of belief wrong. Well, when licensing it and having other companies share that content, you want to be really clear on overall parameters and how they market it. And that's okay for you to understand that and to articulate that to a certain extent of control as you have it within a licensing standpoint. So that's consideration number two. And the consideration number three is, what can they charge for it? And so, again, if you are selling, let's go back to consideration number one. Let's say you're still selling this training and you give it, let's say you and I do the exact same thing. You sell a training, you license it to me, and I get to sell it too. But you make me sell it for twice as much as you're selling it for. Okay, that would suck for me. Nobody would ever buy it from me anyway, because I'm not you, right? So, a couple of considerations with pricing. If you are continuing to sell it, think about how you're going to actually require the pricing, in the physical product space. So my husband and I own multiple companies. One of the companies that we own is a physical product company. Definitely not my area of expertise, by the way. I'm not saying I'm a physical product expert in here, but what I know about my experience in there is there's something called MAP pricing. It's manufacturer approved pricing or something like that. Basically, it's like when we sell a certain stick of eye black, one of our companies is called Ice Black. It's like that under the eye, non-toxic eye black. A lot of NFL players wear it. Anyway, our product is sold in Dick's Sporting Goods. And so with that product, when you sell that, like when Dick's sells it, we give them, like, you have to sell it for this amount. That's exactly the same thing we do with licensing your course. You want to have guidelines in which they can actually price it. And you want to have rules. For example, can they give it away for free? Sometimes the actual answer is yes, depending on like what type of content you're licensing. I have a training called the 3 types of content that companies line up to license. You can also see that training. We'll put it in the resources for you. If you are licensing content that fills their distribution channels, that's actually licensing content that they give in their social media and that they would give away for free. Well, then that's no brainer. That they're still paying you for it, but there's no manufacturer recommended pricing for that. If you are licensing a training or a piece of content that, let's say, is a standalone, you are giving them permission to sell your course on the front of their website or sell your training or your certificate program, whatever it is. They can market it, they can sell it as a standalone. How do you want that priced? And what does that look like? There's a whole bunch of different things in my mind I want to share with you so much, but I'm going to be careful not to dump truck you with so much information right now. But think about, how do you want that price? What is the brand representation, right? Is this a lower ticket thing that we're licensing them? Or are you licensing them something that is such a gold standard in your industry that there's no way they can charge less than $10,000 for it? Whatever that is, it will affect your brand. And so think about that. And then also with that kind of recommended pricing and your rules for pricing, and these aren't the rules for how much you charge them to license. That's not what I'm talking about here. These are the rules for how much they, if they're turning around and selling it, which they might not be, how they can charge for it. And what are those guidelines? And so the other thing is if they are taking your training, let's say you have an amazing mastermind and you have courses and you have all these other programs you bring together. It's like courses, masterminds, events, retreats, this big, huge program. And your product that you're licensing is just one piece of their overall program that they're selling as part of something else, then that sort of recommended face front, like storefront pricing isn't as important because it's built into the price of whatever else they're charging. And so those are some things I want you to consider if you are thinking about licensing your trainings to other coaches. One of the fastest, what I call licensing quick sells, is that it's identifying the right coaches, the right industry, what the rules are that we're looking for around that release. And so I want to share these 3 considerations because these are questions I get all the time when I teach, when I speak about this. And so I'm creating this content for you so that I'm answering your frequently asked questions. This is part of a licensing 101 series I'm doing, answering these frequently asked questions here. So again, let's recap what I shared. Number 1 is, do you want to keep selling it yourself? If you're going to keep selling it yourself, then what type of consultants that are parallel to you or directly in competition with you, that's going to be affected by your current plans for marketing and selling that content. Be fair to yourself in how you want to do this. It's your IP. But also be fair to the people you're going to be licensing it to. Don't license something that you're going to turn around and compete with, because that's not ethical. Or maybe it is ethical. Maybe there are some businesses that do that. But in my opinion, that's just not the right thing to do. So don't do it. Why would you license something to somebody? And frankly, why would they actually even pay you if you're going to turn around and totally compete with them? Because nobody can compete with you. It's a reality. So if you're still selling it, think about that. Or you can look into other industries that still serve the same clients that actually don't compete directly with you, but they'd benefit by having your program. And then the second one is the marketing rules. How do you want them to communicate your content? What do you want them to say about it? And really think about that. That is going to affect your overall thought leadership, your overall brand recognition in that space moving forward. And you are entitled to be protective of that, and that's okay. And then the third one is the pricing. How are those rules going to be set up around how this licensee can price your content? If it's what I call like a storefront, if they're selling it by itself, just complete direct resale, or if it's part of another program, what are your rules for that? And how does that work? and what really makes you feel confident and comfortable as far as the representation of the value of your content. Really think about the value of that content for the licensee and, of course, the end user, and think about that recommended pricing structure in order to align with the value of your content and the guaranteed transformation that your content delivers. Okay, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you found it helpful. I'm always taking the frequently asked questions and turning them into fast grab, quick action videos that you can get here from me on YouTube. If you haven't yet, please like this video, subscribe to this video, comment below, let me know what questions you may have on it, and definitely check out the resources below. You can go to sweetlifeco.com and you can find free resources there where you can get started right away. That's sweetlifeco.com. And I hope to see you on the next video. Please comment below. I'll talk to you next time.